The next presenter is Laetitia J, who's the Marketing Director for M2M Solutions and Services at Gemalto. Laetitia is going to be talking to us about the emerging challenges for security in an IoT world.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? So I'm Laetitia J. I'm heading product and marketing for M2M Solutions at Gemalto. We're going to spend the next 20 minutes speaking about how Gemalto could help the ecosystem of IoT by securing the deployment of end-to-end applications. So it's addressing plenty of different industries that want to connect whatever devices from plants to eggs in your fridge or cars. But the thing is how to make things easier for the final application developers and the final industries that are going to use those technologies. So, does it work? Yes. So you have seen that. It's super complex. There are many thousands of companies that are digging into this type of industry and ecosystem, from basic layers on connectivity, hardware and equipment provider, system integration, application provider, different type of connectivities and different provider of connectivities. So that's a status. It's complex. It's extremely fragmented. And the thing is that, okay, by what can we start to put together a real end-to-end application in this IoT world and to optimize processes in those industries, to have an overall reduction of the TCO when you are running a production plant, when you are running a greenhouse, and you want to make sure that all your potatoes grew correctly. So Internet of Things, a little bit like a Chinese puzzle those times, with plenty of different building blocks. You have to deal with application, regulation. You have to deal as a service provider with time to market. You've got a brilliant idea in your garage, and you wanted to make it the full story together. You need to comply with regulation, to security, to privacy of the data, because you're taking the personal data of a human being at the very end. You have to deal with connectivity, with what I'm going to connect a device with, and these assets, wireless, not wireless, DSL, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, low-range frequency, what I'm going to do to succeed and to have a profitable application that can scale onto the market and make profitable money of it. So it's pretty much like a Chinese puzzle, and the objective is really what are the challenges to put it together and to have a profitable use case that you can sell with regards to your specific industry. And that's exactly where Gemalto is acting. We are a technology provider bringing building blocks together and enablers and focusing on our core assets first, so starting with wireless and GSM network. And that's where we can learn from and help you to build end-to-end application. So it's in 4 steps. The first one is design and validate your concept. Brilliant ideas, you want to put it together. And what we have put together for either industries and big multinational, but also for the student or the next Steve Wozniak of the next decade, a concept board, a wireless concept board, which is kind of the Raspberry Pi, but with a connectivity on board, with a wireless module in 3G, and with the embedded processing, which is available on those wireless modules, you can start building an application. You've got many interfaces. You've got the possibility to plug different types of sensors, whatever you want as sensors, temperature, humidity. You want to follow up like a Tamagotchi of your plant on your balcony. You can plug this concept board and build an end application, being directly connected to our application enablement platform to collect the data coming from those sensors and having a visual interface to see and to look after your plant while you are traveling to London for this conference. So first is design and validate your concept with already made tool and enough flexible to build your own application. Then you need to connect that device. And speaking about IoT or machine-to-machine, it's about how to handle the deployment of connectivity and an efficient deployment of connectivity. So again, Gemalto is coming from the core asset is working in GSM, and that's what we are doing with a mobile network operator and with the automotive market, how to ease, how to bring flexibility in a world with no boundaries anymore, how to deploy connectivity efficiently, remove TCO for car makers when they have to deploy a car, not only in Germany, neither in UK, but also to deploy that same car in France, in Australia, in the US, and in LATAM. So we end up with the GSMA with the so-called OTA SIM subscription management, our on-demand connectivity offer, which gives the possibility at the car maker in the manufacturing plan, put it a SIM card and a connectivity in the manufacturing plan, ship the car in US, in Europe, in Asia, and download the subscription at the very end of the process of distributing that car. So it brings to both mobile network operators and car manufacturers flexibility in deployment of their connected asset with an overall reduction of the TCO. As a mobile network operators, you need to have and to sign SLAs with your final customers. You need to ensure the same tariff for the connectivity wherever you are with no additional roaming, for example. So for mobile network operators, this kind of solution can help them to guarantee their margins and be able to answer to their customer demands. While for OEMs, car manufacturers, or device makers, with such solution, they don't have to, it really answers to an industrial problem. How I do manage the full variant of devices I need to put on the field while I need to have a connectivity in Australia, in the US, in Latin America, or in Europe. So on-demand connectivity is not the solution, but it's an answer to those industrial and business problems. So first, validate and design a concept. Second, deployed connectivity. The third part is, okay, you've got an asset on the field. This asset is connected, and this asset is sending data and needs to have actions and, well, having specific information from the cloud to act accordingly to the data. So collecting data in this non-standardized world, which is M2M and IoT, is kind of a challenge. So what we have put together, it's a so-called application enablement platform, which aims at collecting data wherever the device are, whatever the protocol of this device is, so whatever language this device is speaking, to collect whatever type of data. And being able to know that this device is collecting the number of can of Coke and Diet Coke in that vending machine. This device is speaking language B and is collecting the temperature, the humidity, and the location of my box and my shipment. So you've got two solutions. Either you build everything completely vertical, an application communicating to one single device using one single connectivity and dealing with 1, 2, 3, 4 different datas. Or, as an industrial, you have to scale, you have to handle different locations, you have to handle different type of customers for a vending machine, for example. So you're not going to reinvent the wheel each time you're going to put a new application on the field. You're not going to reinvent the wheel each time you're going to have an additional customer of your application. So that's why we have built this application enablement platform, which gives the possibility to interface with different type of devices here, collecting the data, normalizing those data. So I know that those data are for a vending machine. I know that those data are temperature, localization, and humidity. And finally, the application developers does not have to take care about how I'm going to connect the thing. I've got the data. I know what my job is. My core competencies is I want to get those data, analyze those data, and send back proper actions. So we give, with these kind of platforms, the possibility to application developers, service providers, to focus on their core competence. And we are just acting as a plumber. We are taking the complexity of getting the data out of the field. So that's the third element, gathering the data and being able to scale the application I have put together. The fourth element, and well, before the fourth element, sorry, just an example of what we have done in the US with Duratus. So it's a cold chain management application which aims at tracking and tracing blood samples that are going from hospitals to the laboratory. And today, the way it's done, you've got a guy driving a truck which taking the temperature manually with a thermometer in the box every 3 hours. And there is a lot of waste of those samples of blood that cannot be reused by the laboratory and then by the hospital. So what we have put together with a specific devices gathering temperature, humidity, shocks, and localization, connected to this application enablement platform, gathering those data, and in real time, Duratus is able to follow what's happening with the temperature of the blood samples, which is on the box. So as a result, instead of spending 8 months to put that solution together, finding a device, finding a hoster for the platform, building the application, in 2 months' time, we have put together the full solution, which is operational today. And Duratus is now looking after different hospitals, laboratories, to replicate and to scale this type of application. So I was speaking about the fourth element. We are speaking to industries that are using M2M technologies in many, many, many different domains. It can be utilities and energy, it can be water control, it can be gas control, it can be home automation. If I'm taking one single example in home automation, you've got many types of devices provided by many types of different companies. So you've got a hub which is connected through GSM or through whatever type of connectivity that goes outside of the house. Inside the house, you've got one provider which is managing your energy consumption, one other service provider which is managing the water, one other which is managing the gas, one other, because you're fond of gadgets and things that matters to you, you've got an application that helps you to monitor the fridge, the content of your fridge, your washing machine, and many types of devices to communicate outside. Question is, who is dealing with all the service provider and the hub and the communication to the external world? Who trusts who? The user, the service providers? Is there any sophisticated device which is shared by all the service providers? And the other thing is, what about my personal data as an end user? Oops. As the end user. What about the privacy of my data? So as Dr. Goldin said just previously, security matters in Internet of Things, security matters in M2M, and it's critical. So it's all about guaranteeing to the users and to the stakeholders integrity of the data, integrity of the exchange, the identity management of the people and the stakeholders of one solution and solution connected together, and encryption. But that's just the means. But what is key is, with regards to the industry we are touching, security is always a matter of risk analysis. It's not about putting security everywhere and having heavy security absolutely everywhere and spending lots and a lot of money on something that does not worth to be secured that much. So it's always a balance, the right balance to find between the cost of implementing it, the risk you're engaging for the stakeholders, and also regulations. So security needs to be by design in your infrastructure rather than inside, because you never have two times the chance to make a good impression. If there are major damages because of a security leakage in a full automated medical use cases, you're going to lose this business. In 10 years' time, mobile health won't exist anymore. I mean, security needs to be taken seriously, but it starts with risk evaluation. So that's what the key element we are providing, risk evaluation of the full infrastructure. And then once the risk evaluation has been done, there are countermeasures, if necessary, the countermeasures. It goes from embedded software and reusing the embedded processing in all those devices that are spread out on the field, but as well being able to manage those credentials, those security countermeasures over the air when you've got a device with super constraint in power, in processing, and that need to live not 2 years, but 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So security matters, and is the fourth topic, the fourth pillar that we should not forget while deploying Internet of Things and machine-to-machine. So securing the deployment of the Internet of Things, so from really the concept to a scalable deployment that will make those end application profitable, it's 4 steps: concept and validate concept, giving the possibility to people to have ideas and implement those ideas and test those ideas. Deploying connectivity around the world. It's not only in your village or in a restricted area in your country. It's multinationals wanted to scale their connectivity and scale their application. And finally, the security aspect. So securing the IoT is a little bit like solving this Chinese puzzle with a manual. Thank you.